Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to your weekly collective energy update. I'm Sharna Langlais. I'm a Reiki Master, energy healer, and intuitive guide. I'm here to bring you grounded, heart-centered guidance for your spiritual awakening journey. Welcome back if you've been watching my videos and podcasts. Thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed to the channel. It means so much to me. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button as it truly helps support this work. With over 20 years of experience, I help clients around the world uncover the root of emotional, physical, and spiritual blockage. And each week I turn into the collective energy to bring insights and energetic guidance to help you navigate your path with greater clarity, alignment, and peace. If this space resonates for you, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like this video so you never miss new tools, teachings, and guided practices to support your healing journey. Let's take a deep breath, open your heart, and begin. We've been working through a lot of content this week, a lot of emotional content this past week. So one of the predominant energies I've been feeling is the energy of grief and loss. Last week, I talked about the energy update being related to breaks and changes and transitions. And a lot of times when things are breaking or transitioning in our life, we are losing them. We are moving through a grief or a loss cycle, meaning that things that we had been relying on, things that had been really near and dear to us, are suddenly excavating themselves and removing themselves out of our lives to make space for something new. I spoke about this at length in the previous energy update. And this week, we are then seeing this past week that's occurred, the feeling of the space that gets left, that's empty when something exits our life, and we work with the themes of grief and loss. So lots and lots and lots of heartache this last week, feelings potentially of expansion in the heart as we move into things that are opening up as that space is created, but a real call to be very deeply tender in the heart center during this time. We are all experiencing what's happening collectively in very different ways, and grief sometimes can be amplified when we feel very deeply alone. One of the things I see frequently with grief is people feel misunderstood. Oftentimes, grief makes us feel betrayed, as if the things that have left our lives created a betrayal. And sometimes that is very, very, very true. We may have truthfully been betrayed in that space. Other times, the betrayal is perceived. And other times, we have the opportunity to take a look at our participation in how something ended, how something came to its completion. Grief is a beautiful exit point. It is a beautiful opportunity for us to look at our humanness. There's this wonderful quote by Martine Purcell that I was sharing with a lot of clients last week, which is that grief is praise because grief is the way that love honors and praises what it misses. And so, in this way, when we can kind of see the other side of the coin of grief, it is praise, it is celebration. It's saying, I lived and I loved, and something really important and deep to me moved out of my life. And in the emptiness before the new beginning occurs, I can grieve it and I can also praise it. Is it a way of holding both sides of that coin? This doesn't mean we bypass the feelings or that we don't experience or feel the grief that is necessary, but sometimes moving through the grief can also allow us, when we're ready, because this takes time to get here, to look at praising, to look at honoring, to look at celebrating, because we would not be grieving it if it hadn't been wonderful, right? We would not be grieving it if there hadn't been something really fantastic that we got out of it. And so frequently as humans, we focus on the loss, which again is completely natural and normal, but we often forget to allow ourselves to praise, to celebrate, to experience, say, gosh, what am I so grateful about from this thing that I've lost? And again, it's not to invalidate or bypass those very real challenging experiences. It's just to help amplify the spectrum a little bit more, because we can really get tunnel vision in grief. We can get so bogged down in the low frequency of sadness that we have a hard time expanding and seeing the places where this might be making space for something new. And this can even include things that we're very angry and upset about that are going on in the world. Again, that anger, that upset, that rage, that feeling of action and activism is important. And also, there's a full allowance for a larger spectrum. And sometimes taking that step back from whatever emotion we are in tunnel vision around can give us a greater amplification. For some of us, another way of working with grief or loss is action, is saying, gosh, I'm so upset and grieving this thing that is happening. How do I act? How can I contribute? How can I take a step forward? This is the best of the masculine energy, allows us to mobilize when we are feeling really grieving and deeply sad. This is emotion is the realm of the feminine, and we can sometimes go into the shadow feminine, which means we're too much in the emotional process. We're too stuck in those lower vibrational frequencies. So very often action, moving into the masculine and the bright side of the masculine, can be helpful. This can also include planning. One of my favorite things to do when I feel very lost and sad is to find a project. And again, trying to be careful that I'm not distracting myself overly or dismissing or pushing away those feelings to not deal with them, but instead to get my energy moving in a more uplifted or activated space so that from there I can start to organize my thoughts a little bit better and maybe again come back to that theme with a better, larger, higher level viewpoint. This leads me to the second theme I saw a lot this past week, which is the theme of confusion. So, of course, when we are in transition, we feel confused. We're uncertain. What am I supposed to do? Where am I going? What's happening? You'll hear me talk about this theme over and over and over again on these energy updates because confusion is an aspect of chaos. Chaos is the energy of change and transformation. And if you are here joining me, it's because you are on a transformational journey, which means that we are going to be dealing with confusion and chaos quite a lot as we are transitioning from one frequency to another. Many of you have heard me talk about the fact that another way we think about confusion is cognitive dissonance, right? Where one thought system, one patterning in the brain is coming up with a new or different thought system or pattern in the brain. And this creates cognitive dissonance, which in its essence is confusion. Two systems are colliding, and our brain, our psyche, and our energy field, for that matter, are trying to find ways to resolve that conflict or resolve that cognitive dissonance. And that is also the energy of growth and change. We decide, what are we leaving behind? What thoughts, what patterns, what energies no longer serve us anymore? What are we carrying forward with us? What are we saying, like, you know what, I'm teasing these pieces out. This can stay in the past, and then this is coming with me. And then also on top of that, what new is coming in? What new information, what new energetic frequencies, emotions, peoples, ideas, what newness is coming in that is connecting in with all of these different flavors and pieces of who I've been. And try to remind myself and to remind my clients and you all here to celebrate confusion. Confusion means that we are growing, we're changing, we are not stagnant or stuck. Confusion sometimes makes us feel like we are stuck, but I would argue from an energetic perspective, confusion is the opposite of stuckness. Confusion actually means things are moving in our system and they are creating discomfort because things are actually trying to change. So how do we not get stuck in the focusing on, oh my God, I'm so confused and I'm paralyzed and I don't know what to do, and instead start to piece out, look at, what am I sorting? One of my favorite exercises that I learned from one of my elders many years ago was a sorting exercise. I share it with a lot of my clients as well, where you get oftentimes a bag of beans, mixed beans. Sometimes you can go to a store and get a bunch of mixed beads, anything that's got a mixing of textures and colors that you can put together. A lot of times you can buy variety assortments of things. And then taking that, bag of whatever it might be, putting it on the table, looking in front of you at all of the confusion, right? All the chaos, everything that is kind of collided together, and starting to sort. The process of sorting is something that we do developmentally relatively early on. It is an important developmental skill to be able to sort. And you'll watch kids do this around 3, 4 years old, I believe, when they start to kind of get this idea of organizing their world. So when we are feeling confused, grabbing something, a mixed bag of whatever it might be, right? That metaphor of the mixed bag of life, and slowly but surely moving through, shifting and sorting these things into whatever categories make sense to you. When that occurs, I promise you that you will find yourself feeling a little bit clearer in your brain. Another theme from this week is new tools and asking for help. So, for a lot of us, we are finding ourselves again in this confusion. We are needing new tools in the toolbox. Most of us have collected a variety of tools over the course of our lifetime. Meditation practices, sound healing, cognitive tools that we use, people that we love to listen to or engage with. And then we move through our life and we hit a stumbling block, and we're going back to those old tools, and suddenly we're like, gosh, this tool doesn't work anymore. This tool used to work for me for 5, 10 years, and now suddenly I'm trying to use a wrench when I actually need a hammer, and this wrench is not working. This tool I've been using for so long is not working. It can be really upsetting when this occurs. The immediate I know that I go to is, oh crap, I messed up. Something terrible happened because this tool isn't working anymore. There must be something wrong with me, right? But it's usually not the fact that there's something wrong with you. It's something that's shifting in your life where a new tool set is needed. This is an opportunity to reach out and ask for help. Most of us struggle a lot with asking for help. We live in a hyper independent society, which is actually a representation of trauma. A coping and trauma tool is to become hyper independent. I can do everything all on my own. A lot of empaths, we have high trauma backgrounds. We've become highly sensitive because of our complex trauma. And as a result of that, we have a hard time asking for help. But to develop a new tool set, we have to ask for help. So the invitation here might be to take a look at, how could I ask for help? Who can I ask for help in my world? And maybe how can I wayfind and look for some new tools? If there's been an idea percolating in your mind about something you've been curious about, now might be the time to dive into that a little bit more and see what that might be offering. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing a new Reiki healing transmission, which is a 5-minute energy reset. Really good tool for any moment that things are feeling a little disorganized. This 5-minute tool will help you just reset all 7 of your chakras and hopefully provide a nice lightness and brightness to give you a little redirection moving forward. The last theme I want to talk about from this past week is the energy of ascension fatigue or growth fatigue. What happens when we are transforming and we become exhausted as a result of these big shifts and changes. You'll hear me talk a lot on this podcast as well about resting, sleep, giving yourself that space and that time to hit the reset button. When we are doing a lot of really deep energetic work, it is exhausting. And yet, it doesn't always look that way to the external world. Again, the external world really values a lot of those masculine principles of doing and action, getting things done, checking things off your list. If you don't look busy, there's something wrong with you. And yet the feminine says, there's a lot of internal work that I'm doing that nobody can see. You can't physically see with the eye, at least most of us can't. When energy is shifting or transforming, if you can see auras, then you absolutely can see this. But we often can't see the shifts and changes that are happening inside of us emotionally, internally, mentally, energetically. And those are extremely fatiguing. When we are ascending, we are moving from one vibration to another. It is fatiguing and exhausting. So give yourself that time for rest if it's calling for you and needed. That's everything for this week's energy update. As always, questions, comments, anything you want to throw in that comment box, always really helpful. I love reading, receiving, and responding to those. If this video did resonate for you, maybe hitting a like, and if you haven't subscribed already, would love for you to subscribe to this channel. Sending you all so much love and brightest blessings.